of the Alberta Liberal Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before the election, the Premier tabled a budget, and the day after, we're now into a $3 billion deficit. Albertans want to know where their money's going. According to the report of selected payments last year, MLA pays and perks cost taxpayers $14 million. The Premier ordered an independent review, but the PC-dominated Member Services Committee has failed to establish a new independent process in reviewing the pay. Instead, it cherry-picked what it liked and didn't like from Justice Major's report. To the Premier, how do you justify your government's failure to establish a truly independent process?
Honourable member, be careful with words like budget. I heard a government member a week or so ago use the same thing, and I'm going to admonish the government side as well. It's the context within which you use it that sometimes leads to some disorder in the House, and I would really like to avoid that disorder. So let's just be careful of some of these little slips that sometimes happen inadvertently, sometimes deliberately. Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, maybe I can answer that question by quoting something, and I'm saying, quote, "We do recognize that the fully taxable amount of $134,000 does constitute a significant pay cut for most MLAs. If you look at the reports from last year, there were some government MLAs making $150 to $160, and I recognize that it caused a hardship, that it was a pay cut." Mr. Speaker, I'm quoting the leader of the official Wild Rose opposition.
Honourable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I had asked for the Premier to rise, and given that, in his recent report, the Auditor General expressed repeated concerns about questionable expense claims and use of corporate credit cards, specifically post-secondary institutions like ACAD, SAIT, and the University of Alberta. Can the real Premier, you, Madam Premier, please tell us if anyone in your government knows exactly how widespread the abuse of taxpayer money really is in these institutions?
Mr. Speaker, I am so glad that we're actually repeating so many questions from question period earlier this session, Mr. Speaker, because it makes the answers so much clearer and it gives us an opportunity to reiterate real information from Albertans. Mr. Speaker, we have an independent Chief Electoral Officer whose job rightly is to ensure that if there are challenges or difficulties or concerns that people have, that they assess that information and deal with them. I understand the Chief Electoral Officer has done that in every case that has been brought to their attention, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased that our election finance legislation will confirm and enhance that, and I look forward to any of those results. If the honourable member has any questions, he should refer them to the Chief Electoral Officer.
Honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that the Premier has done a good thing by posting her expenses, and they clearly show that she has a good taste in first-class flights and fine wining and dining. These are the same tastes that many senior executives at AHS had as well, the few that were looked into. My question to the Premier, given that only one of 300 agencies, boards and commissions have disclosed the information, and 50% of taxpayer dollars are spent by these agencies, boards and commissions, to the Premier, how much more money is wasted that could go to
Honourable Premier. Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, as the Premier said, the more these same questions are asked, the better opportunity we have to make the answers even clearer. Mr. Speaker, the only question that is of relevance here is whether expenses that were paid at any point in time were paid in accordance with the policies and procedures that were in effect at that time. Mr. Speaker, at this time, this government has the most aggressive and the most open and transparent expense policies of any jurisdiction in the country. All agencies, boards and commissions under the jurisdiction of my ministry have been asked and have indicated that they will act in accordance with those policies.